Hello and welcome to this lesson on fractions. This is an introduction lesson to fractions, so by the end of this lesson you'll be able to simplify and find equivalent fractions and also answer exam questions like the one behind me here on the board. So stay tuned. So let's now have a look at equivalent fractions and begin to understand how they operate, okay? So what do we have here? We have a number line. And this first number line has been divided into two parts. This is the center, okay? It's been divided into two parts. We can make this into a box just to make it a little bit clearer for us. Now here, there's a mark in here. So if I put a mark here, I have split up this shape into two parts. So each part represents one half, one out of the two. So this is a half and this is a half, half and a half. Now, if you have a look at the next one, okay, the next one has more parts to it, okay? Once again, I'm just going to put a box around this. What do I have here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 parts. So what would the fraction look like? It would look like something over 6. And each of these parts is worth 1 out of 6. So we have 1 out of 6 here, we have 1 out of 6 here, 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 and 1 out of 6 here. I mentioned earlier on that some fractions are equal to each other, okay? So if you have a look at this, so see here we've got a half. A half is equal to how many of these 1/6? Remember, this is the same point. It's halfway of this one. This is the halfway of this one, okay? Now can you see, if I just do that box here, can you see that this is equal to 3 of those, okay? So therefore, 1 over 6, 1 over 6, 1 over 6, we have 3 lots of 1 over 6, which we can write like this. So 3 over 6 is equal to 1 over 2. Now, this will lead us nicely into simplifying fractions. 1 over 2 and 3 over 6, they are equal to each other. And how? Look at this. 6, the denominator, if you divide this by 3, you get 2. And also, the numerator, if you also divide by 3, you've got to do the same to the top and the bottom. So 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. And we are going to be using this technique to find and answer some questions where we have to find equivalent fractions. Just to summarize everything, that the same shape, we have the equivalent fraction, we looked at the halfway point and we said, right, this is one half, this is another half. 1 half of this shape is equal to 3 lots of 1 over 6's, okay? And then we made that change, we made that conclusion that 3 over 6 is equal to 1 over 2. All right, so let's have a look at this one. This time we're not going to use the number line, we're just going to use the values, the notation for fractions, okay? Or how fractions are written. So we've got 6 over something, this denominator we don't know, is equal to, we are told, 2 over 3. So we want to find out what this value here is, okay? Now, we have a relationship already given to us, so 6 and the 2. So something happened for the 6 to become a 2. Now, obviously the 6 is bigger than the 2, so therefore you had to have divided here by something, okay? Now, what did you divide by? 6 divided by what gives you 2? You should have said 3. So 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So therefore, to find out what the denominator is, we'll also divide here by 3. But what we want to do is we want to go backwards. We want to know what number was there that divides by 3 to give us 3. To go backwards, we can just times here. So we can just go backwards by multiplying by 3. So 3 times 3 is equal to 9. And therefore 9 would be the denominator for this fraction. Because 9, now watch this, 9 divided by 3 is 3. So it works both ways. They work both times. It's really, really important, and I want to stress this to you, that whatever you do to the top, you must do to the bottom. So in conclusion, 6 over 9 is the equivalent fraction for 2 over 3. This is also known as simplifying a fraction, but we can work in many ways. Sometimes you may be asked to go down and simplify or cancel down a fraction, which is what we've done here. Other times you may just be asked to find an equivalent fraction. So for example, if you have a look at 1 over 4 is equal to something over 20, what number would be here? We want to find the equivalent fraction. So how do we do this? We look at the relationship between 4 and 20. So obviously 4 is small, it's become a bigger number. It must have been multiplied by something. Multiplied by what? 4 times 5. So therefore, what do? Whatever we do to the bottom, we've got to do to the top as well. So 1 times 5. So what is 1 times 5? 1 times 5 is 5. So 1 over 4 is the equivalent fraction for 5 over 20. Time for you to have a go at this yourself. So write this one down and then do it yourselves. All right, so 15 over 25, let's have a look at what to do here. So 25 became a 5, it must have been divided. So 25 divided by 5. Therefore, the top we will also divide by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 15 over 25 is the equivalent fraction to 3 over 5. And one more for you to do. So 12 over 18, what's the equivalent fraction? You've already got the numerator, 4 is given to you. So try this one again. All right, so let's do this. Right, so 12 became a 4, so obviously it has to be divided. What does it get divided by? It gets divided by 3. So therefore 18 needs to be divided by 3 also. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So therefore 12 over 18 is the equivalent, the same as 4 over 6. And I will now use this opportunity to lead you into simplifying fractions. This fraction can be further simplified. So this is an extension. We've answered this question already, but I'm just going over to the next question. We can further simplify this by finding another equivalent fraction, which is also the same as 4 over 6 and therefore the same as 12 over 18. How do we do that? We'll look at these two numbers and we see what can I divide 4 and 6 by? What one number can I divide 4 and 6 by? 2. 6 can divide by 2 here, and 4 can divide by 2 as well. So what does that become? 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 2 over 3 is the equivalent fraction of both of these, and what we say is that this is the most simplest form of the fraction. And we are going to look at more questions where we are asked to simplify. So let's have a look at 15 over 25. We're going to write this fraction in its simplest form. So I'm just going to write it here because I want to put down my arrows. So 15 over 25. Right. The aim is when we find out what these numbers should be, it should be that we cannot simplify anymore. Although if you need to do it 2 or 3 times the step, it's okay as well. All right. But in order to avoid that, we just need to find the largest number that divides into 15 and 25. 5 is the only number that goes into both of them. And it also happens to be the largest number that goes into both of them. All right? So we are going to divide both by 5. Okay? So what's 15 divided by 5? 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. So therefore 3 over 5 is this fraction in its simplest form. So let's have a look at this. 24 over 40. Now, if you remember in the last example, I said you want to find the largest number that goes into the bottom and the top, the numerator and the denominator, right? You may not straight away guess what the number is. If you can't, it's okay, because you might get a value here and a fraction, and then you might look at it and think, hold on a minute, I can simplify this again, I can divide again, all right? And that's okay if you do that, okay? You know, you're not expected to necessarily be able to do it in one go, although if you could, it'd be great, okay? So let's have a look at this, right? We know that 2 goes into 24 and 40, but 2 seems kind of small. I'm sure there's bigger numbers. So let's try again. 8. 8 goes into 24 and 40. So let's divide the top and the bottom by 8. Notice we are dividing, we are cancelling down, we are making it smaller, because usually dividing makes a number smaller, okay? We are not multiplying. If we're going the other way, to find the equivalent fraction going that way, we'll multiply, okay? So 24 divided by 8 gives us 3, and 40 divided by 8 gives us 5. So therefore, 24 over 40 simplified is 3 over 5. And notice we can't simplify it anymore, okay? Now, had you, let's say, divided by 2 first, I'm just going to quickly show you that you could get to the right answer that way too, okay? So if you divided this by 2 and this by 2, maybe because it's easier for you to do that in your head, and it's okay, okay? 24 divided by 2 is 12, 40 divided by 2 is 20. Now can you see 12 and 20, the fraction can be simplified even more. I'm just going to get rid of this because we're going to have an accident. They're going to crash into each other. Right, so we can divide by 2 again, all right? So here we go, divide by 2, divide by 2. So 12 divided by 2 gives us 6, 20 divided by 2 gives us 10. Can you see we can keep dividing by 2 one more time because we know that these two numbers have a value that divides both of them. So, and what is that? That's 2 again. So 6 divided by 2 gives us 3, and 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. And finally, we get to the same answer that we got over here. Now, here we had to keep dividing until we made that number really, really small. And here we got there one time. And that's the advantage of finding the biggest number that divides into the top and the bottom. Now, as a plenary to this lesson, as a nice lesson ending, I want to have a look at a question like this. So it says, which of the fractions are equivalent to 2 over 3? And you're given a choice of 5 fractions, and maybe several of them, or maybe one of them at least, is equivalent to 2 over 3. Now, how do we do this? Well, we look at the fractions and we simplify, okay? So here, 6 over 9, we cancel down. If we can, by the way, okay? If you can't cancel down, then that fraction stays as it is. But 6 over 9, we can divide the top and the bottom by 3. We can divide the top and the bottom by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 2 over 3 is this fraction, and therefore is also equivalent. So therefore 6 over 9 is one of the fractions which are equivalent. If we look at the next one, 5 over 7, we can't simplify 5 and 7. We can't cancel down. There is no number that divides, both of them divide by, okay? So that one we leave. 8 over 15, can we cancel down? Can we simplify? So is there a number that divides 8 and 15? Once again, no, there isn't, okay? So 4 and 6, yes, 4 and 6 do simplify. So 4 and 6, they can be divided by 2. So if we divide that by 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Once again, that's what we need. It's equivalent to that. So this is another one. Now the last one, 12 over 36. Once again, we're going to cancel down. And 12 and 36, they do have divisors between them. You can divide both of them by 2, or 36 is a multiple of 12. So therefore, both of them can be divided by 12 as well. So 12 divided by 12 is 1, and 36 divided by 12 is 3. Now we got 1 over 3. 1 over 3 is not quite 2 over 3, so therefore this one is not equivalent. So the two fractions which are equivalent to this is 6 over 9 and 4 over 6. Now I really think that I can't just leave you without you testing yourself on one of these, because you're probably just following my examples. So the last one you have to do yourselves at home, all right? You must make sure that you pause the video, copy this down of course, pause the video and give yourself a minute or two to do it, and then press play again and go through the answer with me. All right, so welcome back for the finale. So which of these fractions are equivalent to 3 over 4? So we're going to use the same process. We're going to simplify each of these fractions as far down as we can until we get our fraction that we need. So 12 and 16, we can divide. Let's just keep it simple. So let's divide by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. And we can divide further again. We can divide by 2 one more time. So that 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we've got 3 over 4, and 3 over 4 is equivalent to, it's the same as 3 over 4, okay? So therefore, this one is equivalent. Let's have a look at the next one. So what did you do for that one? So we can divide both of them by 2. So we get 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 3 over 4 is our answer. So therefore, 6 over 8 is also equivalent to 3 over 4. Let's have a look at this next one. So here we can divide both the top 15 and the 20 by 5. So therefore 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. And once again, we've got 3 over 4, so therefore this is also equivalent. 20 over 28, let's see, we can divide both by 2. So 20 over 2 is 10, 28 divided by 2 is 14. We can simplify or cancel this one more time by dividing by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. 5 over 7 is our fraction that we get, the equivalent fraction of this. And 5 over 7 is not the same as 3 over 4. So this is not equivalent. Last one here. I'm sorry, it's getting quite squashy. Hopefully you can follow the working out. So 24 and 32. Both of them we can divide by 2, or if you notice that 8 goes into both of them. So we can divide that straight away by 8. So 24 divided by 8 is 3. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So 3 over 4 is equivalent to that. So therefore 24 over 32 is also an equivalent fraction. So all of these were equivalent fractions to 3 over 4. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please give it a thumbs up. I will be making lots and lots of Key Stage 3 lessons for you guys in the future. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the bell notifications. See you in the next video.